Hey there, Starshines. I'm Sylvia-Moonbeam. Before I get into today's video, I just kind of want to do a quick little preface due to some recent events. As you may notice, I'm not currently filming at home. Don't worry, everything's okay. I'm actually just babysitting for my sister, watching her three kids while she goes away for the weekend. Um, but not everyone is okay right now. If you're watching this video while it was filmed during kind of the middle of August of 2020, you'll of course know that COVID-19 is still alive and well in the United States. And also recently, my home state, California, has had some crazy hot heat waves that have ended up resulting in some dry storms that have created statewide fires. There, there's a lot of nature and animals that have been either killed or displaced, and a lot of people have had to evacuate their homes. And while I myself have not been affected, I know a couple people who live in the area, and and every time I check the weather, it says that there's unhealthy air quality. The main purpose for me doing this whole intro bit is that while this video is to have fun, um, I do want to kind of remind all of you, since I have the power of this platform, to remind you to love one another, be kind to one another, and if you know someone who needs help, please offer it, because you may be their only option. Let's get started. Hey, so now that we're officially in the video, what's up, Starshines? I'm Sylvia-Moonbeam, and today I wanted to go over the butterfly effect that the Arcana, a Mystic Romance, has had on me. This is kind of a weird story, but it's just like how the theory of the butterfly effect has the single beat of a butterfly wing causing a hurricane. This is a short story about how the Arcana, a Mystic Romance, just a regular app game, has had a huge effect on my life. So first things first, I was introduced to the Arcana by my friend Morgan. For those of you who have been on the channel for a while, you may recognize Morgan has both commented on a number of my videos, as well as she even was one of the questions I answered in my 500 subscriber special. Morgan has been a long time friend of mine, and so when she saw an ad one day on Facebook advertising for the Arcana, a Mystic Romance, I gave it a try and eventually fell in love with it. So it's just kind of funny to think that such a that an ad could end up inspiring a app and fandom that has had a deep impact in my life. First and foremost, not only have I ended up joining a community that I am able to share art with, but I'm also able to create my own art. As many of you know, I am a writer, and when I was getting really into the fandom, I actually wrote a piece of fan fiction. It's not very good, and it's not canon. The time I wrote it, it was technically canon. It could be canon, however, it's no longer canon now. Part of that fandom also introduced me to a couple people would become my friends. One of which of those friends would later become a girlfriend of mine. And then after I broke up with her, I actually ended up becoming in a short relationship with one of her friends. So one could even say that the Arcana ended up getting me two girlfriends. In addition, in the first of those two relationships, I ended up doing a online role play where I played a fictionalized version of myself named Sylvia Faye Wander. She was a cleric who was an acolyte of the Star. I picked the Star in particular because that was my favorite of the major arcana, and I made this whole world that she could interact in with my friend who would later become my girlfriend at that time. And so here actually is some art. I think I've shown some art of her before, but this is the art of the Arcana version of Sylvia, drawn in kind of a chibi art style as well as a more realistic art style. Sylvia Wander also went by Mistress Moonbeam, and as many of you know, when I was rebranding my channel, that was the inspiration to go from Metagross Freak to Sylvia-Moonbeam, so the Arcana even had an influence on my screen name. That roleplay also got me into reading tarot. I actually met this first girl when she gave me a tarot reading, and it was so much fun. I wanted to learn how to read myself. So, because of the Arcana, I learned how to read tarot cards, and I actually started collecting tarot decks. I actually have 6 tarot decks right now. I'm considering getting a 7th, and I wouldn't have gotten into tarot and collecting tarot cards if were not for the Arcana. Like I mentioned, I am part of the Arcana community, and so just like how basically every community has its memes, I've even made memes for the Arcana. In the meme currently on the screen, which I made, it compares the character Bede from Pokemon Sword and Shield to the character Azra from the Arcana. Both characters are somewhat gender ambiguous characters who wear blue, pink, and red. They both have fluffy white hair, purplish pink eyes. They're both associated with magic, Azra in particular because he's a magician, and Bede in particular because he uses psychic types and fairy types. And both of them, in addition to being kind of gender ambiguous, um, while Azra canonically is non binary but uses he him pronouns, Bede looks very non binary and also uses he him pronouns. So, coming to this realization, I wanted to make this meme to point out how basically they're the same character. And then, last but not least, the final influence is actually something I'm going to be getting into in a future video. Um, this part of the video, I'm actually going to be announcing I'm going to be starting a new series called My D&D Character, where I'm going to be going through the inspiration as well as kind of this play style of some of the D&D and Pathfinder characters I play, as well as show off some of the pictures I associate with them, and just for fun I'll even throw in 2 or 3 Pokemon that those particular D&D characters would use if they were Pokemon trainers. The one I want to talk about right now is a character named Elisa Larrikin. Her last name has kind of changed over time. It used to be Chalcedony after the stone, but has later changed on to Larrikin after the British slang word for prankster. Elisa is a tiefling inspired by Jester from Critical Role. However, in addition to painting and being a blue tiefling who's a cleric, Elisa's a little bit different. For example, when she uses Evoke Duplicity, it isn't another copy of herself. Instead, she creates a hologram of her sister who was murdered. Her spiritual weapon, instead of a lollipop, is a giant paintbrush because she paints murals in her free time and, like, she basically graffitis murals. Um, and her spiritual guardians, instead of being I think they're little unicorns or something. I don't remember, or like unicorn whales. I don't remember what Jester has, but Elisa's are tarot cards, and how she channels divinity is by doing a tarot reading. And I would not have been inspired to include tarot reading in a character were it not for my love of tarot reading as is. In fact, I actually wrote an actual tarot reading in a fanfic chapter where I introduce Elisa and her older sister, who would later die, Brittany. So this is just kind of a short little video on how one Facebook ad led to my friend introducing me to an app that has had a serious influence on my life. I have made art and memes and based D&D characters on, on this one thing. And I've both, and I've made several, I've ended up in several relationships. It's been fascinating how the single flap of a butterfly wing, that Facebook ad, has had such a deep impact on my life, and I'm glad it has. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I've been Sylvia-Moonbeam, and I hope you have a great day. Stay safe, everyone, and please wear your mask when you're outside. Sylvia-Moonbeam out.